You'll know when you have a wild woman. She'll practice her craft without boundaries. She is truly autonomous. Her loyalty is only to the family she serves, a midwife who will not allow herself to be held back by a system she didn't create.
This podcast is for the birth keepers who want to grow and change. We are open to learning through self-reflection and supportive community. We are creating this space to explore without judgment. We are remembering we were
Born wild. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Born Wild podcast. I'm your host, Sophia, and today I have with me Nelly, who's going to share her 2 birth stories, as well as her extended postpartum journey with her 2 kiddos and their recent diagnosis. So first of all, Nelly, could you just share with the listeners a little bit about yourself and your family?
So, hi everyone, I'm Nelly. My husband and I live in Cazadero, California with our 2 kids and our 2 dogs and our other chaotic amount of animals. We're an off-grid family, and yeah, we're originally from the East Coast, but have been in California for like 6-ish years. We're probably stuck here now.
Committed, yeah.
River is 21 months old and Cedar is 4 months old. So I'm a 2 under 2 mom still for another couple months.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, take us to wherever your mothering journey starts. For some, it's like, I always wanted to be a mom. For others, it's like, I found out I was pregnant. You know, where does your journey begin?
I feel like I never wanted to be a mom. So, which is a fun way to start that, like in my 20s. And it's like this whole like spectrum of like crunchy mom that I've gone through. Like I went from like, no, I definitely don't want to have kids to like, okay, maybe I'll do it, but I'm gonna have a scheduled C-section to then it was like, I actually listened to a podcast right before I removed my IUD to have River, with Ricky Lake on it. And she talked about the business of being born. So I was like, oh, what is this? So then I watched the business of being born and I was like, oh my God, I'm having a home birth. And I wasn't even like pregnant yet. Like I wasn't even like, I was still like had an IUD. I was like, oh, this is the way. Like, this is what I'm doing. So then when I found out I was pregnant with River, I was like looking for midwives and I found you. And I was like, I felt like every time you'd come over, it was more like a therapy session than really like having any kind of midwife appointment.
I mean, really, they are that. I always wondered why we didn't have training in therapy as midwives.
Yeah, we like never did medical stuff. You're like, oh no, do you want to do this testing? This is usually what, and you like informed me really well, but I was like, no, I don't want to do that. No, I'm okay. I don't want to do that. No, I'm okay. I don't want to do that. I feel fine. Like everything was always kind of like that. And then for River's pregnancy, Jeff and I didn't have insurance, but we had more disposable income. So that it swayed us towards like, oh yeah, we can totally do a home birth. This is going to be great. This will be wonderful. This is perfect. It's like right exactly how I am. So the pregnancy was kind of awesome. Like nothing was wrong. I felt good. I don't have any medical history of anything. Everything was just kind of like chugging along. And I had like done all the like right like things in my mind. Like I was like going to the chiropractor. I was seeing like a midwife. I was doing like all of the things that I thought would like prepare me to have my like perfect home birth. And I was like, this has to be, it's gonna be easy. Like it's got like we played a dice game, like giving us like, oh yeah, this is probably what it could end up as. And I was like, yeah, it's gonna be fine. I'm gonna wake up in the morning, I'm gonna have some contractions. By like nighttime, I'll be pushing out this baby, laying in my bed with my dog next to me. And
if only we could say it and it would be so, right?
my favorite thing is telling people about River's birth because they like freak out when I like say I'm like no, I was in labor for 4 days. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, 4 days of labor. I was in labor for 4 days. So like, and Jeff is a lot better. My memory is kind of wonky on it, but Jeff is a lot better at like telling me exactly the day. I just know that I started on his due date and then I didn't have him until like that Saturday. So that was a tough one. Like all of the labor part was tough. and making decisions. That was really hard. Like,
the thing that made me laugh out loud at your labor was because prenatally you were like, no, 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 I don't really need that, you know, in terms of anything medical. And, you know, like you said, it was more like nutrition support, you know, how are you doing here? How are you doing there? And when I got to you, you were like really dehydrated in terms of like your urine was like really concentrated. And so we talked about like ways we could do to boost your hydration. When I mentioned an IV, you're like, oh, I love IVs. You're like, I want an IV. And I was like, wait, what? You actually like want an IV? You're like, yes, I love IVs. I was like,
yeah,
okay, didn't see that coming.
yeah, it's like the one thing. I'm like a big proponent of IVs. I don't know. I'm a heavily tattooed person. I have no fear of needles. Like I have no like none of that. And I know that there's nothing in an IV. It's like, oh, it's just gonna hydrate me. And I was so like tired of like trying to give birth that I was like, drinking water sounds exhausting. Like, let's just do the fastest thing to like fix this problem. So yeah, no, an IV was great. It would have been great. And then like everything like about River's birth was actually kind of, it wasn't it okay, it's been 2 years, so I'm far removed from it, of course. But it was like yeah, it was like really like kind of like because you had Clover and Kelsey there, and it was like fun because I had like Kelsey's like peaceful like, oh, you're doing great energy, and then Clover's very like, okay, push, it's time to do this. So it's like I had the little devil on one shoulder and the little angel on the, it all like worked out pretty perfectly, but it didn't because yeah, it was very balanced.
Yeah, and
But
the times where we were like contractions had spaced out and we were watching, I don't know, like some sort of TV show about maybe
yeah,
animals, or I don't even remember.
yeah. Yeah, we started off with like a survival TV show, and then I think it got too heavy for everybody. So we're like, okay, let's just watch like penguins and like pleasant little animal videos. And I couldn't sleep. I'm watching everybody sleep. I'm like, this is torture. Like, I don't want to look at little animals. I don't want to do anything. I just want to. And every day I would like, we'd have like a rough night. We'd get up in the morning, like, okay, today's the day. And then it wouldn't happen. So we ended up making the decision to transfer, which was really like tough, but I just felt like I was like running against a wall. Like there was no like, and especially like having, spoiler alert, I have a VBAC. So having had a VBAC, like, like I know now like that it would have probably never happened with River. And I was literally, and I made the right call. But before I had the VBAC, I always had that like big doubt. Like, man, did I just like make the wrong call? Did I give up? Like, what? Why did this happen? Like,
Like
what
if
is
only
what?
I had done it longer, tried.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I kept like, oh my goodness, I blamed myself. So, and I love listening to birth stories, and I couldn't like for a little bit there because I was just like, I kept blaming myself. Like, did I make the wrong call? Did I like? Was there something that like my body has to be able to do this? Like, what did I do wrong? And like now that I've done it, it's like, oh no, this was never like it. I pushed with Cedar for like an hour. Like it was like 4 pushes and she was out. Like, and it wasn't, and her position wasn't perfect. She had her hand up. So she wasn't perfect. River was OP. So that, you know, he was in like never, he was backwards, I guess, or sunny side up. And, you know, it maybe that was it, but yeah, River was not going to pass
For
under my
first baby, like it can just make it trickier. And you know, in a sense, who knows, maybe he like, you know, like paved the way for her, you know, to have an easier
yeah
then.
yeah, because I was like fully dilated, and like when I got to the hospital after the like, because I do, like I mentioned before, I live really rurally, so it took an hour and a half drive of like contractions every 2 seconds, or what felt like 2 seconds, to like get to the hospital.
Yeah.
And so it was, you know, it was tough. So I get to the hospital, then it was like I went from like this like super pleasant experience of like you and Clover and Kelsey, who are really respectful and like ask before doing anything, to like, and it's like seared into my mind that like when I walked into the like emergency room, like waiting room, a lady lifts up my dress to like look at me in front of everyone. It was the craziest moment of my life. I'm like, what in the, I was like hurting and like dealing with all of like a contraction to then like somebody's lifting my dress in front of like, it's not like, it's not like I was already in the back. It's like, no, you're like everyone here. It's the welcome room. Welcome to my vagina. Like
they panicked like, oh my God, this baby's about to come. And we're like, if that was the problem, we wouldn't be here. Like, that's not a problem.
No, I have a baby in my hands. Like, what are we doing here? Please don't lift up my dress in front of strangers. Like, it was just a lot. And I think you said something to them. And then I remember too, like when they took us up, because this was like at the end of, I feel we're in California, so I guess COVID never ends here. But like, it was towards the end of like the COVID thing. So they were like still wearing masks. And I think they like didn't want you to come in. They wanted just Jeff. And I don't have family here. So you're like the closest thing I had for my pregnancy of family. And I know they made it like a big stink. And then Jeff was like, if you don't let her in, we're not going in this hospital. We're going somewhere else.
Yeah, I remember I was like, whoa.
So yeah. So Jeff is very like, typically like the calm one. I'm the like extroverted, like crazy one. So he like stood up for me and was like, no, if she can't come in, we're not going here. We're going to another hospital. I'm like, no, please don't take me to another hospital. Like, I don't want to deal with this. Like, I hope he's bluffing because I don't want to deal with this right now. But sure. So yeah, I definitely did not want to move hospitals. But so we ended up staying. And then I got an epidural, which I thought like, oh, okay, an epidural is going to make this happen. Like, this is all. And really that was like when I transferred, that's what I thought. I was like, okay, if I could just rest, I will be able to do this. I'm just so damn tired. It's been 4 days. Like, I haven't slept. I haven't eaten, which I thought, like, going back to like thinking when I was like planning my home birth, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have a home birth so I can eat at home and I can eat during like my labor. And I did not want to eat at all. I think you guys kept trying to like force me, will you have some honey or will you do something you haven't eaten in 4 days? So I thought, okay, an epidural is gonna fix this and I'm gonna be able to like push through it and then I can have my baby in the hospital and then I'll just like leave. So I got the epidural and then now that I've had some time to reflect on it, I'm fairly certain they put my catheter in wrong. Because there's no way that I could have felt that much pain from a catheter, like with my epidural. Like having listened to like other people's stories with epidurals and like I felt it, like it was hurting so bad. And I kept like trying to tell them that and like nobody was like listening to me. So I got rest, but I didn't really get rest. So I pushed that night and then it wasn't as quite as like pleasant of an experience. It's not like I had like a nice like student midwife telling me like, oh, you can do this. Like, it was like, no, let's go, we're doing this. Like, we have like another 2 hours before we have to make a decision. It was like very hospital like. Yeah. And I will say, like, honestly, for like compared to like other moms that I've met and hospital experiences, like I didn't like hate it. Like they were kind. There was kind nurses. Like the postpartum people were really nice to me. Like they were like for the most part respectful of my decisions. So I won't say it was the worst experience, but it did definitely feel like a hospital. And I was unprepared for a hospital experience. Like I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't thinking that I went in there.
Really plan B for you. You were like, I'm having my baby at home.
Yeah. So it was like, I was really defensive, like of the whole thing. So I feel like I wasn't open to like a C-section. Like when she mentioned that, like I was devastated. That was like the opposite of anything that I ever like dreamed or like, that was my worst case scenario, was ending up in a C-section. So she mentioned that. And then she was like, well, I gotta go. I'm gonna go see this other mom that's giving birth and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it again. So, but it gave me time to process it and kind of accept it really. And we like upped my epidural and just like kind of stopped pushing and everything kind of just like, but I did feel very like defeated, you know? So it wasn't great. And I do feel like if I would have been more, and this is probably like my whole lesson of everything, like if I would have been more prepared and like not so like anti everything, like maybe it could have been a more pleasant experience. Like a gentle C-section is a thing, I guess, like that I've read about. I mean, there was
like being open to everything as a possibility and like talking about scenarios of when that would be appropriate for you instead of being like, nope, not gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. And like knowing myself, I probably wouldn't have listened at the time, but it's something that I like, I don't know, I guess retrospect or whatever that thing is.
Site.
When you look back at 2020.
Yeah.
Or,
Hindsight's 2020.
Hindsight's 2020. So I feel like I went in for the C-section. They upped my epidural. They did all that fun stuff, and still was feeling like my catheter was hurting even during my C-section. She's like, you can't feel anything. She's like, your stomach is open. I'm like, no, I can feel my catheter. It hurts. Like I can, and Jeff was even laughing. He's like, they're saying that you can't feel it. I'm like, no, I can feel it. You can't tell me what I'm feeling in my body. I can feel the catheter.
And are you talking about the catheter that's giving you the epidural, or like your urinary catheter?
My urinary catheter.
Oh, okay.
Like it felt on fire. Like I was like, this is the most unpleasant thing I've ever felt. Like I will not have a C-section again just because a urinary catheter hurts so bad.
Mm-hmm.
No, my epidural was fine. Like it was okay. So we end up having the C-section. It feels kind of out of control. Like there were so many people in there, and it was just like the opposite of everything I wanted. And it was just so like, man, it sucked. Like that was like kind of awful. So they have to, since I'm fully dilated and River's like kind of stuck down there, they like have to push him back in through my vagina into like back into my tummy. So they push, and I was like, this is the worst sex I've ever had. Like, like, like pushing him back in, and then they like pull him out of my tummy. And he like, they had said that there was a chance because of how long I was in labor that he could have swallowed meconium, and then they like scared me with the NICU before I went into the C-section. So I was like, great, now this is all I'm thinking about. So when he comes out, he doesn't cry initially, and he's like, so I hear like, and we didn't really know his gender. So Jeff was going to announce it to the room, and it was like this whole big thing. But one of I think it was like the midwife, she says something like, oh, he's not breathing or something. And I was like, oh, I guess I had a son. There goes that part of this that I wanted.
Yeah, wait this whole time just to find out like that.
Yeah. So I can hear them like counting.
Actually,
like
now that I think about it, that's how I found out Gracie was a girl.
Yeah, it's not a fun way to find out.
Yep.
That sucks. But I was happy, I mean, that he was here. But then I started hearing like the pediatrician team or the pediatric team like counting to get his breath going. And it was like so scary. And like it was like it sounded like monks chanting, like because I guess they were getting their timing, but it was like a lot. And he didn't start breathing yet. And it was just, and Jeff went over there. And so then eventually he does cry, and it's like, oh, okay, fine, whatever. And then the rest of it, I was just like, oh, he's out, he's good, he's breathing.
You're like, I'm done.
I'm done. Yeah, like whatever. So then half of the people in the room leave, which I'm kind of stoked on, and they take River. And then you had him wrapped in my sweater, which was so sweet. I still have that cardigan, but I'm like, oh, this is like River's, like, because I didn't have a hospital bag packed. I didn't have anything. I don't have blankets with me. And like you're like, oh, the sweater smells like her, so like let's hold him in that while he does skin to skin with dad. And it was just so sweet, like these pictures of him in my cardigan. And like every time I wear it, I'm like, oh, I love this cardigan. I love it more than anything. It's got like a hole in it now. But so the pediatrician there was actually really sweet, and he was like, no, we're not going to take him anywhere, we're just gonna do skin to skin, and he should be fine. So that worked out well. And River was fine the next day. So, since we do live rurally and have animals and stuff, Jeff couldn't stay with me in the hospital, which was another reason we wanted a home birth. So we don't have like people to like watch the animals or anything. So I had to stay by myself, which was a lot. Like with a baby, like I don't have anyone to like tell me what the heck I'm doing, or like even just keep me company. So I stayed one night, or when I got out of the like C-section, they're like, oh, once you can like walk and do, they set like 2 like things to do, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do those things so I can get out of here. I was like, oh, okay, cool, that's what you need me to do, fine. And they're like, no, you can stay like for like 3 days. I'm like, no, I'm okay, we'll like figure this out. Like no. I think I stayed 2 nights. I was like, I'm done, I don't need to do this anymore. Like, so that was kind of tough and not fun, but it was nice to like be with him. And then I mentioned, like the labor and delivery nurses were kind of nice, like the ones that like they taught me how to swaddle or like change it. I've never changed a diaper. Like taught me like these things where I was like, oh, this is, you guys are kind of nice. You're like, I can see where it's like I don't trust the medical system, but you went into this for with good intentions. Like I feel like you do actually like love babies or like helping people or whatever. So they were nice and they respected all of my decisions with River. Like I didn't want to circumcise. I didn't want to like I wanted what I would have done at home. Like I don't want any interventions. I don't want anything. Just like leave me be. They didn't even push too hard on anything really. So we didn't newborn screen. We didn't anything. Yay.
Foreshadowing there, yeah.
Yeah. So we didn't do any of that. River was great. I mean, I've been asked before about his APGAR scores, but I'm guessing they're normal because nobody said anything to me. So I was like, oh, he's good. So we leave the hospital and before I remember because you made a note in my chart that I didn't want to have other kids because I didn't want to deal with this. But like before I even left the hospital, I was like, oh man, I really want another kid. Like this guy's cute as hell. Like
that's how they get you because they're cute. That's their only survival skill. Like
cute. What it was like this cute little like he would like get like all straight. It was like this little like it's like a little tree. He would just like stay all straight and cute. It was so funny. Like I was like, oh man, I need another one, and then I can just like have a home birth and it'll be fine. So I lied to myself that I was not going to do it again because I did it again. So the first so breastfeeding was easy. All of it was like super like cake. He's my only kid and I don't have family in the area. So I have met like other moms and mom groups, but it's not like where somebody would tell me if something's wrong. So I never knew that anything was different about River. Everybody would always just say like, oh, River's so chill. Like, cause he wasn't really like the kind of kid to like roll around or he didn't crawl a lot. He didn't get into mischief like other kids. So everybody just said, oh, he's chill. He's such a chill guy. Which was kind of to be expected. I mean, Jeff is a pretty chill guy.
They compared him to his dad, like father, like son kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And he looks just like Jeff. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe he's like Jeff. Like he's just a chill guy. His motor development was okay. It wasn't great. Like it wasn't like I said, like he wasn't as fast as his friends, but he wasn't like not doing them. Like he wasn't just like there. He was just like somebody called him once an earth baby. They're like, oh, he's like an earth baby. He just like is kind of chill and it makes sense with us. So I was like, okay, well, I'll take that. And then I ended up getting pregnant with Cedar when he was 9 months old. So I made a joke to Jeff about wanting to find out I'm pregnant for Mother's Day, and I found out the next day that I was pregnant.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, it'd be like the sweetest Mother's Day gift if we got pregnant this month. And then like the next day.
Well, there you go. That's if you speak it and it happens.
Like, I know it was actually kind of amazing. I'm like, all right, fine, like whatever, another birthday that I can't drink and another summer I can't wear shorts. Like, so like my pregnancy again was great, but this time it was the opposite problem. I had no disposable income, but we had health insurance. So we're like, and we had just gone through River's birth, and I was like, okay, I want to be more prepared this time. Like maybe I can try, and I didn't hate the people at the hospital. So I was like, maybe I can try to find like a balance rather than being so shut off from it. So I started seeing a hospital midwife. I made appointments for several because I was like, okay, I'm probably going to hate all these people. So let me see which is the lesser of all these evils. And I actually, the first one that I met with she was amazing. She used to own the Santa Rosa birthing center. So Elizabeth Smith.
Elizabeth.
Yeah. She's great. And she was like super respectful and down for all of my crazy hippie stuff. And like, I like went in there hot. And like the first thing I asked, I was like, okay, I'm 36. Do you support a VBAC for a 36-year-old? And she's like, you're a perfectly healthy looking woman. Yeah. If that's what you want to do. I'm like, perfect. Okay, cool. We can work together.
Like, I'll allow it.
Yeah. So she was pretty great. She never like pushed me into anything again. Like it was just like I'd go there and we'd just like talk, and she's a chatty lady, so we would just go there and talk, and it was never really like the only thing she did do early in my pregnancy was she wanted me to get labs. And I said that's fine, but you can't do anything to the baby. Like, I don't want any news. I don't want any to know anything about the baby. The baby feels healthy. I'll let you know if I don't feel
In
healthy.
terms of like genetic screening, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Genetic screening. I don't want any of it. Like,
But more like just for you.
yeah, you can do my labs if it makes you feel better. So she did my labs, and she said, and the labs came back that I had a UTI, which I was like, no, I don't. I know what a UTI feels like. I don't have a UTI. Spoiler alert, I had a UTI. Yay. So I did, which ended up turning into a kidney infection, and I got hospitalized for it.
Gosh.
Yeah. That was fun. Because nobody will just like fix it if you're pregnant. They're like, I started off by like telemedicine, and they're like, no, you have to go to the urgent care. And then the urgent care is like, no, you have to go to the hospital. So then the hospital is like, no, you have to go to labor and delivery. And then they wanted to keep me there. I was like, no, don't keep me here. Like, what do I need to get out of here? I'm fine. I just have a kidney infection. Like, so they fixed me for that. But that's pretty much the only hiccup I had throughout my pregnancy. I was pregnant with a toddler who at that point wasn't walking. So River turned 1, all of his friends started walking. I was like, halfway through my pregnancy, and he was standing and cruising, but just not letting go. Like, he wouldn't, so I was like, oh, maybe he's just slower to do that stuff.
Yeah, and it's tricky because you always hear of like, oh, somebody didn't walk till they were 18 months or what, and it's like, okay, this could still be normal. And
yeah, he was like within the range of normal, but I knew it wasn't. Like, I could feel it. I'm like, this isn't right. Like, it's not. And I was an early walker, and so was Jeff. So I was just always assuming he would be an early walker. So I was like, something's not. He always looked. It looked a lot more labored than everybody too. Like, for him to stand was a lot of work. For him to do all this stuff was a lot of work. So, but I continued with my pregnancy, and then just carrying my toddler around. And then right around Christmas, so I was like pretty pregnant at that point. No, Thanksgiving and Christmas, like around the holidays, I was like 8-9 months pregnant, like almost like cooked. And he started losing skills. So he started regressing. He stopped being able to like cruise, and he wasn't pulling up to it. Like, he stopped pulling up to stand. So if I stood him somewhere, he would stay there, but he wouldn't pull himself to stand anymore. And then eventually he stopped cruising, and then eventually he stopped crawling, and then eventually he like started falling from standing. So, but before he fell from standing, I talked to our pediatrician, and she agreed. Our pediatrician is actually pretty great. And she agreed. She's like, oh no, there's something, like, I don't, she's like, I can't diagnose this. Let's send him to UCSF. She's like, let's do neurology and developmental. And I was like, okay. So neurology, our first appointment was over Zoom, and she was really sweet, a young neurologist. She was cool, but it didn't feel like she was like, until you saw him, nobody thought like anything was wrong, because it's like, oh, he's still within the range of normal. It could be fine. So she prescribed, or she said, oh, let's start doing PT, and then we'll follow back up in a month. And I was like, okay, in a month I'm gonna have a like baby, so I need to figure out what is going on in this like life. So he starts PT. The neurologist is like, we're still waiting on that. She wants to do an MRI. She wants to do all these tests eventually. She's like, okay, let's do all these tests. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really like, what do you think it is? Like, I don't like an MRI just for the sake of an MRI, or like, all of these things for the sake of like, tell me what you think it is, and then I'll tell you like his symptoms. Yeah, like, I'll tell you if his symptoms are like that, because I don't want to just like for an MRI for a toddler, you have to put him under. And I was like, I don't like that idea. Like, what are we looking for? She's like, well, he did have like a long, like, his birth was complicated. Like, we're looking, like, we want to see if there was any birth injuries, and like, and I always thought that could be a possibility, because it was such a long birth and it was so like complicated and stuff. And I thought like, oh, maybe there was something that we just didn't see. But since he had normal development, it just didn't strike me as a birth injury, because he had like those
reversal that was like, wait.
Yeah, something is wrong, because it's like, if he would have never done any of those things, then it's like, yeah, maybe it could be a birth injury. But since he did those things and just lost them. It's like, okay, that there's something else. So then Cedar's born, which it's like, it feels like everything with Cedar's like that. It's like we're so focused on River because River's got all this stuff going on that sometimes it's like, oh yeah, that happened there too. So Cedar, and like I feel like it's probably like that for you too, right? Because you have like a more medically complex older kid, and then like the second one, it's like, oh yeah, she was there. That happened too.
Yeah, though Gracie tried to die after her birth, so she got her own drama.
Her own star of the show.
Like, I'm gonna need some attention here too. So
these kids always try to die.
Yeah. So I can relate to in the sense where we're like, what again? Like what? Two? Like yeah.
So so with Cedar, since we don't have anyone here, I ended up thinking like, okay, maybe I'll get a doula. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, a doula might work so that I can still do the hospital thing because I have the insurance is going to cover that. And like, it's just going to be like the least complex thing going on in my life right now. So we ended up getting a doula to help us. She was amazing. Like that was just like the perfect like thing to do for me. Mm-hmm. But I still feel like I needed that like feminine nurturing energy of like someone that understands like my natural hippie ways and can like keep me on track kind of and like focus like, no, you want this, like you've said for 9 months that you wanted this, like this is, so she really like changed, like she was amazing. Like, and I initially when I hired a doula, I thought I just wanted somebody to watch River, like pretty much like just like hang out and entertain River and like maybe like tag team with Jeff and come back and forth. But really it was the opposite. Like I've always had like weird women things. So I didn't understand that how much I actually needed that like woman energy, like to help me and to like be there with me and to like hold me. Like, it was really like life changing. So I had hired Hannah Lushington. She's a local here and she was, and she's a midwife student. So she's like, oh, like, and when we were like talking about the birth here, I was like, okay, I want to labor at home as long as possible. Like, and I was like, but I live an hour and a half from everything. So like, and I was like, what happens if like this happens? And she's like, well, I am a midwife student, so I'd rather not do it. But like, if it happens, I can be there and I can help you. I was like, okay, great, you're perfect, hired. Like, so we like, so I did go, I started laboring like 4 days after my due date with Cedar. And I started like having contractions like on Friday night, and then like all day Saturday I was having contractions. Everything was normal. Like with River, it was like a lot of stop and go, a lot of like chaos. Mm-hmm. With Cedar, everything was just textbook. It was perfect. Like I started, and it just like went at a normal progression, and like I felt fine, and it like it started hurting eventually and got like a little tougher, and then there was a point where I stopped being able to like talk as much, and I wasn't like as involved. I had to get more inside of my head for them. So around that time there was like a big storm coming. It's like Cedar was born in January, so there was a big storm coming, and we do live out here. So once they started getting closer, we called Hannah and we're like, okay, they're getting closer, like we need like either come over and like we'll work on it here. And she's like, yeah, but the storm is coming, so I don't want to like drive an hour to your house for us to then just like have to drive an hour to the hospital. Do you want to just go to the hospital? And I was like, yeah, let's just go to the hospital. Like I'm starting to feel it, and I don't want to do that god awful drive again where like because of the curves and stuff it makes the contractions a lot stronger. I was like, I don't want to do that. So let's just drive to the hospital now that I feel like still like doable. Yeah. So we went to the hospital, and I think like we got to the hospital like at 5, and so I was like pushing, and I wrote out a birth plan. Like this one I did the complete opposite like of the last one. I had a birth plan, I had everything that I wanted, I had several copies, like I had one was like on cardstock so that it for sure like you can't lose this. Like it was all like everything that I wanted. Like this is like what I want for my entire, I even like planned in case I needed a C-section again. Everything was like exactly like, okay, I know what to expect and like what to like how to like advocate for myself, and like I don't want to feel blindsided, I don't want to feel like out of control. Like this is, I know what I'm doing. Like so we get there like at 5, and I'm pushing. And so with hospital midwives, it's like you don't get the same midwife that you've been seeing for your entire pregnancy, which was a huge bummer. So we got the midwife that I was scared of from the pregnancy. She's a more like old school, like serious, like type of midwife. And I was like, oh man, that's who's on call. Like I was really hoping like to have like this midwife that I've been seeing for like this whole time and I have a good rapport with and I'm like comfortable. Like now it's like the one that I'm really scared of. But she was actually fine. She didn't really she didn't have to do anything, honestly. She just was there. So like I think I'm there and I pushed for like maybe 4 hours or something because Cedar was born at 10. So Cedar's so I'm like 8 centimeters when I get there, I think, and I have them like not check me a lot and no students in the room and like all of the things, leave the lights off, like let me do whatever I want. I didn't want continuous monitoring, but they don't let you do that, which was frustrating. I was like, I don't want to be strapped onto stuff, like just like, which is kind of funny because I like had this like vision of like, oh no, I don't want to labor like laying down, but then I actually wanted to labor laying down. So, so but I was having a lot of luck when I would go in the shower. And they didn't have to have the monitor on me when I went in the shower. So I was like, oh, this is my like way to get away from like being strapped to machines. So I would like go in the shower and the water felt really good. Where with River, the water would stall me. I feel like with Cedar, the water like had me going. Like I just like everything went great. But my water hadn't burst yet, which I really wanted like that big water bursting like dream of like, there's like a big splash. But then when the midwife finally comes in, because it's like getting pretty serious and everybody's like, okay, yeah, this is definitely happening soon. When the midwife comes in, she like just goes to check me and it bursts like on her hand. She's like, I didn't do it. I'm like, no, I trust you that you didn't do it. But I did have a big water bursting moment. It was just really funny that she's like, my hand was just in there, but I didn't touch it. Like it wasn't me. I'm like, it's fine. Like
I'm true.
I know, I felt so like happy about it. So then I go back on the bed and I just like push a little, well, before I pushed, I remember having like that moment of like, no, I can't do this. I just want to have a C-section. I know I can have a C-section. And I said that out loud. And Hannah's like, no, that's not what you want. Like, you're not really saying that. And it was just like perfect to have somebody there to like tell me, like kind of shake me a little bit and like, no, you can do this. Like, you're fine. Like, stop. And Jeff was like, you haven't even, you pushed for like 3 nights last time. You've been pushing for 2 minutes and now you want to have a C-section? Yeah, I guess you're right. Fine.
You're like, but I know what to expect with that.
That was exactly it. And I tried to explain that. I'm like, I know what a C-section is. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, and I don't know. And I kept having these like mental blocks where I felt like, oh, maybe I can't do it again. Like, maybe there's something wrong with me. Like, I can't do this. But no, it was like 3 or 4 pushes and she was out. And I was like, oh my God, this is it. Like, it happened. Like, I can't believe this actually happened. Like, this is cool. It was like the best feeling in the world. I would do anything in the world to have that little bit of feeling again, like that victory. Like, I would even take how shitty it felt to have a C-section and that like defeated feeling just for like how victorious and wonderful the VBAC felt.
Yeah, that's like, the whole C-section, it's so hard in the transport because you're like, oh God, if she could just like have the taste of this, of what it is.
It was so wonderful. Like, it was perfect. And then I was like, okay, I want to get out of here as soon as possible, which was on my birth plan. And they're like, really? I was like, yeah. What's like the fastest I could leave? they're like, okay, wait. Oh, slow your horses. We'll let you out in the, because it was
they're like, we need the placenta to come out first.
Yeah, it was like 1 by the time we were done with like all of it. And River was there, which was actually kind of sweet. So he was there. He was cool. Like, he was awake the whole time. He was there when his sister was born, which I thought was another thing that I would have wanted in a home birth. It's like, oh, I want our family to be together. And he was there and it was all good. So it was like 1 o'clock by the time we were done with all that. Speaking of placenta, I wanted like my placenta, and because it was such a big deal with River where they didn't give it to me and they didn't even let me look at it. And I had like talked about my placenta so much to you. That was like my one, like,
Yeah.
This time I wanted a big water explosion. That time, all I wanted was to see this big, beautiful, healthy placenta.
I even
And I
put it in
didn't.
your chart as like a pop-up postpartum, like make sure to show her placenta, like spend hours with her placenta in her.
No, they lied. Well, they didn't lie to me, but they said like, no, you can't even see it because he was in there so long that it could be infected with meconium or whatever medical excuse they had for it. So
Yeah.
I couldn't even see the darn thing. So for this one, I made like a big deal of like, I want my placenta. Like I have a bag. Hannah's gonna take it. Like I need my placenta. Like do not do this. But they gave me like this was like the one concession that I guess I made where I had put in my birth plan, don't do this to me. Like let me birth my placenta naturally. And the midwife came up to me and said like, well, you have a little bit of a bleed. We need to get it out of you, blah, 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 blah. And like, I was just like in my like postpartum bliss and I was like, yeah, do whatever. Like, I don't care. Like, let me just hold my baby. And like, I don't like, but now in retrospect, I'm like, I hated that. Like, you could have just let me birth my placenta. Like, you didn't have to pull it out of me. Nothing was going to happen. It was fine. I was fine. Everything was fine. Like,
yeah, it's
so
hard. It's like it's same with the very end of labor when you're like have that moment where you could be easily influenced because you just want to be done, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's like, it was just like a bummer now in retrospect, but it doesn't matter in the end. I did get my placenta. I have the placenta capsules. Like
Yeah, it
I
wasn't
was
traumatic for you. It was just disappointing.
no, and I have like a print of my I got my like full placenta love moments in there. But it was kind of a bummer. Like I would have been able to birth it. Like it would have been fine. Like so I did get my placenta. I got out of there like at 10 a.m. So she was born at 10 p.m. I was out of there like at 10 a.m. Everything was super smooth sailing. Again, they came and offered like all of the stuff. I didn't want any interventions with her. And nobody gave me pushback on any of that. They never really did with River either. But one pediatrician did come in a couple of times and tell me about vitamin K and that she mentioned it a lot. And I was like, no, I don't need that. Like I read about this. I don't want it. Like, don't do this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm set in my crunchy ways. I don't want anything. Like so we don't do anything and I leave and everything's good. So we are home that following week. I think Cedar was like 10 days old and we had to go to UCSF for a River appointment. At that appointment was really where she was like, oh, this is a lot worse than what I thought. At that point, River stopped standing. He started falling when we would stand him. Like he was brushing his teeth and just like fell. And he was really floppy at that point and just like would sit and not really go anywhere anymore. So I have like this newborn that I'm so stoked on, but then I'm also like worried about my toddler and what the hell is going on. And like, so she again asked for the MRI. We're like, okay, maybe we'll do that. And like, so I like kind of put it off. And eventually she calls me for a follow-up for the MRI. And I'm like, no, I don't really want to do that. And she's like, okay, well, if you want to do something less invasive, let's just do genetic testing then first. And we'll start with that. And at that point, a friend of mine who is a journalist in Pennsylvania, she has a friend that worked on a study for a SMA. And she tells me about SMA. She said something like she mentioned it in passing. She's like, oh, you could do it and then it'll rule out SMA. And I was like, what is SMA? I'm like, what are we talking about here? So, and I start like Googling it, and it's the only time where I Google something and it looks like River symptoms. It's finally like,
will you say for the people listening what SMA is?
Oh yeah. So SMA is spinal muscular atrophy. So it's a rare degenerative genetic disease. It in California since 2020, they do it in the newborn screening. So if and also if you're pregnant, they do carrier screening. So I could have found out if I was the carrier, which there's a spoiler about that too. So I probably wouldn't have found that out. But so they do it. It's in most of the country at this point, it's in the newborn screenings for everybody. Which that's like the hardest thing to grapple. Like if I wouldn't have been so set in my like crunchy ways, like maybe we would have just like newborn screened him and I would have known. But then it also is like, okay, but then would I have wanted to have a second kid if I knew that I had this kid with this medical complexity that's like for the rest of his life? And I don't like, so it's like back and, but so we do his genetic testing, and I'm like waiting. And even though I knew about SMA, I didn't think, you never think your kid is going to have, like, you always like think the positive. It's like, no, and we're healthy. It's genetic. I have nobody in my family with any history of any genetic diseases. Neither does Jeff. So I was like,
it's in your favor that that's not what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. We're like, oh, maybe he just has like unexplained hypotonia. And I've seen a million videos of unexplained hypotonia. And then the kids just eventually snap out of it and start walking. So I was like, maybe it'll just like be fine. And then PT, we had a very good physical therapist that was like really encouraging. She like kept telling us like, oh, he's doing so great, he's doing this. And like I could see that, he's losing skills, but he's still making like these little like inch stones. Like he would maybe like roll a little further, or like hold his stand for a little bit, like if he really wanted to or something. So I was like, oh, maybe it's not that. Eventually it's like a Friday afternoon, and I do in California, another fun law is that they have to release medical like exam results to you at the same time as the doctor, and not necessarily always through the doctor. So I was able to get his results before my neurologist probably even looked at them. So I got to see that my child has spinal muscular atrophy by myself, pretty much. Jeff was at work. I'm sitting at home with my two kids, and I'm like reading this result, which is like the worst thing. It's not the worst. Now that I've had time to process, it's not the worst thing that could have happened to our family, but it's not something that anybody wants to, it's devastating. Like, and it's a disease that's rare, and you don't know, nobody knows anybody with SMA. Like, it was just like, yeah, it was terrible. It was like the worst afternoon of my life. Like, it just is like my perfect sweet little boy is not, he's not. So I start Googling and trying to find out what spinal muscular atrophy is and how did this happen? Is it because I'm old? Is it because of like, I have all these millions of questions, like, and of course Google sucks. So Google's like, yeah. So then the spinal muscular atrophy is a deletion of a specific set of genes. So Jeff and I, or in a regular case, it would be everybody has these two genes that are responsible for how your muscles like grow and like replicate and like function. In carriers, you have one good functioning copy and one bad, and one like deletion. So then for our kids, they would either have, be carriers like me and Jeff. They could get one good one from me, or one good one from Jeff, and then one bad one from me, or one bad one from Jeff. Or they could have two good ones in a great case, or they could have two bad ones. So River got no copies of a working SMN, but then luckily there's this secondary gene that if you have enough copies of that gene, it kind of like makes up for the deletion. So if you had, let's say, 5 copies of that gene, you could probably not feel anything until you're in the like a little older, an adult or in adolescence, and then you won't have lost as many skills. Or in a really bad case, if you have no copies of that secondary gene, those babies tend to like not live on from pretty much babies. Like you can see it immediately when they're born. They're floppy. They can't like really move their bodies. They can't control their head.
Yeah, because there's like, what is it called? Like type 1, type 2, type 3. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, there's 4 types. There's like type 1 or type 0 where they like as infants, like you find out they can't really do much. They can't move. They can't control their head. They can't like, they have trouble feeding and breathing sometimes. That is the most severe case. And that was kind of fatal usually. Like they typically their life expectancy was about.
What are they ultimately dying from? Like not being able to breathe?
Yeah, not being able to breathe, not being able to feed, not even being able to breathe. Like everything is pretty much a muscle. So eventually everything just kind of gives out. So for type 2s, if you Google it, which is what River is kind of in the middle of a type 2 and a type 3. So he's like, because his age of onset was for type 2, but his skills that he had is more leaning towards type 3 because he was able to like stand and cruise at one point. Type 2s typically stop at sitting. After sitting, they don't really develop any more skills. River developed a little bit more skills, although he lost them. So for type 2s, the life expectancy was, and like I hadn't talked to a neurologist, so I just was assuming based off of age of onset, like he's a type 2, and on everything you Google, type 2s wouldn't make it to adulthood. So they would pass away usually in adolescence. So I'm dealing with all of this and like learning all of this by myself. And like, then you like, it's like, oh, my kid's not, I'm gonna outlive my kid. Like I can't, like my kid's gonna die as a teenager. Like, let alone like all of these other like beautiful dreams. Like I'm an athletic person. We love sports. Like I'm like, oh, I like dreamed of like playing baseball with my kid and like running around, or even just like simple things like my friends with their toddlers who like hug them and walk up to them, and like it's like, yeah, my kid can't do that. He's not gonna do that ever. Like it was devastating. So I keep Googling and keep finding out more and become a specialist in genetics. And then I find that there's treatment, which is like then gives you a little glimmer of hope amongst all of it. So there's two different kinds of treatment. There's a gene therapy, which would inject, and it's pretty incredible because this is the only disease that well, there's two now, but this was one of the only diseases, or one of the first diseases that they have this kind of treatment for. So they inject his missing gene. They would give him one of those. It's only about 5 years old, but it does, like when I see, like I start like Googling that, and then I see like how it's worked. And if they do it on a pre-symptomatic baby, they look like normal kids. They develop at a regular like pace. They hit all of the milestones like regular. Like, and when I mentioned my friend that's a journalist, her friend that mentioned SMA worked on developing this drug.
Wow.
So that's why she brought it up. She's like, oh, there's treatment, but he could have SMA. So it's also the most expensive drug in the world. It's $2 million for a single dose of drug. So I like read that and I'm like, this is impossible. Like, I'm not, who is this? This is for Jeff Bezos? Does Jeff Bezos' kid have SMA? Like, who has this? Like, who has $2 million? So I'm just like, okay, so great. There's this drug. It's amazing. It's like, gives me hope, but like, I'm never going to afford this. I can't afford a home birth. I can't afford this. Like, what are we talking about here? So it was just like a lot to deal with over a weekend.
And just clarify, because you said if you're like pre-symptomatic, what it can do, but what if you're already symptomatic? Does it reverse things, or does it just like stop you from getting worse kind of thing?
So there's two things with that. So the drug is only approved in our country up to 2 years old. So River's 21 months old, which means that, like, he's really close to the cutoff anyways. So it's only been studied really in our country on babies. Like, so they don't really know how much it can help a kid that's already had symptoms. They know they think it's going to stop it. At worst, they think it's going to stop it. At best, they think it could help you a little bit. But the thing with motor neurons, which is what controls that muscle development, and what is wrong with him, is once you start losing them, it's really hard to get them back. It's pretty much impossible to get them back. Mm-hmm. So he's already lost these motor neurons. He lost these skills. It's gonna be very difficult to know like exactly how many he's lost, like how much he can gain back or any of that. Like if I would have, there's a lot of this I would have, and like having to deal with that. But if I would have newborn screened him and known immediately, he could have been normal. But I don't know how much it would help him now.
Yeah.
So the weekend passes, and eventually I do end up talking to our neurologist, and she apologizes profusely, and she's like, I'm so sorry that you saw this without anybody like breaking it down for you. But we're going to pass you on to the director of what is his title? I don't know. He's a big head honcho doctor, neurologist at UCSF Children's Hospital. And I was like, oh, okay. And I just like, I've already been going through the system and seeing like, it takes 6 months to get an appointment. And it takes like all this time for this. And like, everything is just like kind of a hassle. I'm like, okay, he's got 3 months to get this drug, but let's see if they even see him by then. And I could not have been more wrong. They immediately called me back from that other office. And they're like, oh no, we'll see you on Wednesday. Can you be here on Wednesday? I'm like, yeah, it's a 3-hour drive, but okay, sure, I'll be there Wednesday. And then we met with the neurology team, and it was like,
that honestly was one of the things that crossed my mind when I found out, because we go to UCSF a lot for my son. And I was like, oh my God, they live so far away. Like,
Yeah.
oh, like all those trips there.
Yeah, I mean, that's not pleasant, but it's like I just like didn't even think they'd see us. Like I thought it would be like, oh yeah, they're gonna like how everything is. Like for the developmental people that they gave us a referral to, we still haven't seen them. Like
Yeah, but I think they
like,
recognize the time, like the urgency of this. Yeah.
yeah, and like how rare it is. It's like if they rolled out the like sick kid red carpet for us.
Yeah.
They like so we when we went to meet the neurology team, they were amazing. They like answered every question. We met like a geneticist and a neurologist and a PT, and we met a social worker, and we met like it was like a 6-hour appointment of these people all like trying to actually help us. It felt like I just said about the labor and delivery nurses. It's like these people actually like aren't the enemy that I like always played them out to be in my mind. Like they like I don't agree with everything they have to say about stuff usually, but they aren't like there has to be like and a lot of this for me is trying to find a way to like work in harmony with the medical system versus like I've always been like no and like shut the door on it and I don't want to know. Like now it's like I'm trying to see like what works and how I can still be myself and how I can still try to like use diet and exercise and nutrition and all of these things, but there is this medicine that could like save my kid's life, and there is like these things that it's like these resources for us that can help us. So they have to do like some blood work on him, which River had never been poked at all in his whole life. So they're like, oh, now we have to do blood work and we have to do this. I was like, oh, this is a lot for me. Like, okay, but sure. So they have to test him for this specific antibody because the way that the medication works. And then I kept asking about like, how am I going to pay for this? And they're like, no, don't worry about it. I was like, what do you mean, don't worry about it? Like,
you're like, I don't want to worry about it later. I want to worry about it now.
Like, what are we talking about here? And they're like, no, insurance like usually covers it. I was like, this all feels like a scam, but I'm not even gonna get there. Like, how is this a $2 million drug? And like, you're just like, oh, it's fine. Like, we're not gonna.
Yeah,
but sure. But I'll take it. Like, fine. So the only like stipulation to get this drug is that you have to test negative for this specific antibody, which is like it kind of a because the medicine goes into their system on a virus that's carrying it in. So if you have the antibody to that virus, you can't take the medication because it just won't work.
Destroy the virus. Yeah.
Yeah. So River gets his blood test, and then another like week of like sitting on the edge of my seat every day wondering when I'm going to get this answer. And then they're like, nope, it's good. We're just going to order it. I was like, okay, cool. All right. So we have to like ask the insurance, and it's a lot of back and forth because it's a $2 million drug. So the insurance eventually okays it. And at that time, when we first met with the geneticist, actually, ever since she was born, I was like, no, Cedar's nothing like River. Cedar's like, she moves really well. She's already rolling, and she rolls fast, and you can hear her singing in the background. Like I was like, she's nothing like River. She came out, and then I was like even thinking about their birth. I was like, oh, maybe River's SMA was manifesting during his birth, and he couldn't come down my birth canal because he's not as strong as Cedar is. And I had all of these thoughts. I was like, there's no way. Like, there's no way. But they're like, okay, there's a 1 in 4 chance that any of your kids are going to have SMA. So we should test her. I was like, okay, fine, let's test her. The test took forever to get back. And I was like, yeah, whatever. It's not. And then I'm like in the Costco parking lot, and I get an email like, oh, test is ready. So I like open it, and I was like, cool. Now I have 2 kids with SMA.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Who I could have newborn screened and known all of this.
Yeah, and you were laughing because it's like a laugh or cry moment, like what are your options? Yeah, it's so unbelievable.
And I think I had dealt with so many emotions with River and like finding out about River's diagnosis that when I found out about Cedar's, I just like felt so much more prepared too. Like that I knew what this disease was. I knew what was going to happen. I knew what could happen if we didn't treat it. I know what the treatments are. Like I know so much more, and I felt confident. And I felt confident in the medical team where it's like before I was like, oh, these people are never going to see me. This is like hopeless. Like now it's like, oh no, I know that, Dr. Strober's going to take care of us. And like, I know that somebody's going to, I know what to expect. I'm not scared. So I just like, it was sad, but not as sad, I guess. So we start then, so then the doctor's like, okay, so we're gonna see Cedar while we're still like in the process to get River treated. So then they're like, okay, you can come on Wednesday to see Cedar, and then that Friday became our infusion date. And they're like, okay, Friday we'll see you for your infusion for River. Also, so Cedar, so the antibody thing that I just mentioned, River's gonna bring a live virus from that drug into our house for around Cedar, who cannot get antibodies to that virus.
Okay.
Yeah. And I still tandem breastfeed, which is fun.
Wait. So, because you were telling me that they were saying that you might have to stop breastfeeding her, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna. Oh yeah.
You haven't gotten there yet. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So,
yeah.
So what is this? Is this a virus that like will make him symptomatic of the virus, and it's
no, but he will shed
with
his bodily fluids.
Can't get it.
Yeah. So he will shed it in his bodily fluids, whether it's like pee, poop, spit. So I tandem breastfeed, and the doctor made a joke about it at Cedar's appointment. He's like, you might have to stop breastfeeding because she can't get like his saliva. And I was like, he's like, unless you like breastfeed one on one boob and the other on the other. And I was like, as a matter of fact, I do. That is exactly how I breastfeed my kids. That's how they've breastfed from the beginning. Cedar uses my left boob and River uses my right boob. And whether they're like nursing at the same time, they don't do it anymore. She's too big for that. But whether they're nursing at the same time or not, that's how we've done it. That's funny. Now he's awake in here.
Hi, everybody.
So we go on Wednesday, and the doctor makes that comment about breastfeeding, and he's like, oh, you might have to stop. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. Like, we'll be fine. And he's like, okay, I feel comfortable with that, which I kind of like that he has that attitude about a lot of things. He's like, I feel comfortable with it if you feel comfortable with it. I was like, yep. And so he like respects me to like make my decisions about stuff, which I really like. So we see her, we do her antibody test, and then on Friday we do River's infusion. The infusion goes great. He's a little champ. I was like freaking out, and he was nothing. He was just sitting there having a grand old time with all these nurses, like, and making them laugh and just being his regular self. That's the thing too about SMA is it doesn't do anything cognitively to them. They're actually very smart too because they don't move as much, so they are very observant. So he's just his regular little silly self. So
nobody can see it but me, but he's making all sorts of smiles.
So he gets his infusion, and we just like wait over the weekend for the antibody results to come in. And then that following Wednesday, they call me with big news. First, it's the genetics team that calls.
So wait.
So like I mentioned,
the infusion is the medication?
The infusion is the medication. Yeah, River got his medication.
And how often do they have to have it?
Nope, just once. It's one and done. Okay. A $2 million IV, one time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't spill a drop.
Yeah, I know. Oh my goodness. And then like it was a lot. It's a big. So he gets his infusion. And then that following Wednesday, the genetics team calls me because my genetics results, because they wanted to test me in just in case. I was like, well, we already know I have 2 SMA kids. Like, we know I'm a carrier and Jeff's a carrier. He's like, yeah, we just like want to test just to be sure. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. So first the genetics team calls me and they give me some interesting information. I am not a carrier for SMA. So that's what the genetics guy said. He's like, so even if you would have like maybe done the carrier screening while you were pregnant, you wouldn't have known that. And maybe you would have still passed on newborn screening.
Interesting.
And my kids are what is called a de novo SMA. So we have one carrier parent and one non-carrier parent. So they don't know exactly what it is in me that's causing it. So they don't know if I'm what's known as a silent carrier, which means that I do have two copies, but they're on the same allele. I've never said the word out loud, but they're like on the same like part of the spiral. Or if it's something where what they're thinking that it probably is that I have a mutation in some of my eggs where they just don't have an SMN gene. But they could not find anywhere in all of the research where there are people that have siblings that are de novo SMAs.
Wow.
So it would either be like one kid, it happens, and you have like this one special rare disease kid, or for whatever reason, I have two of them, and they can't tell me if I will have any more or not. So it's not like
the 1 in 4 is if you are both carriers.
If we're both carriers,
because you weren't both, they would expect that it not to be a sibling thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they don't know if like every one of my eggs is like this, or just these two eggs are like this, or they have no idea when it comes to family planning what I could expect.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting bit of information, but it made me just laugh. It's like, oh, of course, I would have the weirdest kids in the world. Like, even it's a rare disease, so there's a lot of things, and the drug is new, so there's a lot of things that are unusual, like about like when I ask questions about this antibody, and like I have Cedar at home, like what am I going to do? There's not a lot of other situations like this. If there's a situation where siblings are both getting the drug, it's usually twins, and like they get it at the same time. It's not like one older kid and one younger kid.
Is there an age she needs to be before she receives it, or you can receive it as early as possible?
No, you can. It's as early as possible. So there's like 15-day-olds that get it. So the sooner the better is really with this drug. Do you want to ride your bike? Okay. So later in that day, Dr. Sturber calls and says that she does have antibodies, so we can't do this medication. And that he thinks it's from breast milk. So for me to stop breastfeeding, so we can see if that brings them down.
And how would she get the antibodies and not River, because he's breastfeeding too?
That was my exact question. So he said, oh, maybe River, since River's a toddler, he's eating more, which is false, because River, since Cedar was born, stopped eating. He just wants to breastfeed. He's snacking a little bit more, but he still doesn't really eat. And he's like a toddler, so he doesn't eat a lot. And also he has a severe gross motor like thing. So he doesn't burn a lot of calories. So he doesn't eat a lot. He breastfeeds pretty much as she does. So he couldn't answer that question. And there was like a lot of,
he was tested before he even had the drug.
Exactly.
It wasn't about shedding.
Exactly. None of it made sense. I was just like, I've said this a couple of times, but like breastfeed, like of all of like the things that I wanted to do, breastfeeding is the only one that's easy for me. Like it's not something that like I struggle, like I couldn't have the birth that I wanted for River, and I couldn't I had a VBAC and it was great, but it wasn't the birth that I wanted either for Cedar. Like it's not like, and like I bought a pickler triangle when River was 3 months old, for God's sakes. Like I wanted him to like do these things. So like breastfeeding is like thing that I could do that is like feels right, and it's like still like fulfilling that like crunchy like thing. I'm like currently breastfeeding and it's still fulfilling that like crunchy like need that I wanted. And like, so when they said that, I was like, it was like finding out that like, I don't know, I was so devastated. I just like started bawling. So I was like heartbroken. That's the worst thing you could have told me, was I'm not going to be able to breastfeed my kids anymore, or my daughter of all things. Like maybe even I think I would have accepted it if I would have been incredibly hard, because like I said, like he mainly breastfeeds, like, so it would, and he nurses like for comfort a lot, and he like nurses overnight a lot. Like, I feel like Cedar actually probably would have been okay, but she was just she's so young. Like, she doesn't eat anything else. She doesn't, like, there's nothing else that I can give her where I would feel like she's getting the right nutrition, where I would feel like there was nothing. There's like, so I just couldn't like settle for that as an answer. And it didn't make sense.
Like River, you're like, he got it for such a long time. He got a good start, you know, kind of thing. But yeah.
Yeah. Like with River, I would feel like, okay, he's almost 2. Like, my goal was always almost like at 2. So I would have been fine. Like, it would have been incredibly hard because he is a lot more attached to Milky's than I think Cedar is. Like, I think Cedar actually probably would have been fine. But with River, like, it probably would be a big fight.
Yeah.
But I just like I was not okay. And I'm not good at like just accepting things like that don't make sense.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make sense. Like, the virus isn't in my house. And he's breastfeeding the same amount. Like, it doesn't make sense. So I did talk to the doctor, and we came up with like a plan where if his hypothesis is he's having less breast milk and he doesn't have the antibodies. So then I was like, okay, well, can I give her less? Like, maybe supplement during the day with formula, but give her like overnight and like to help her go to sleep, like so that I could still feel that bonding time with her, and like just so that I don't have to get up in the middle of the night to make a bottle, honestly. And like all of these other like, and so my supply doesn't drop, because I was planning on, after she gets the medicine, then just going back to breastfeeding her. So he kind of agreed, and he was like, yeah, we can do that. You can try that. And then we'll like retest her in a month and see if they've dropped or see how much they've dropped. Or so I was like, okay, fine. So it felt like I had like one enough, but it still didn't make sense to me. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, I need to figure out why is this happening?
Yeah.
So I start like researching. So I go to like Zolgensma, which is the name of the drug, like Facebook group. And I'm like looking up like old posts about antibodies. And it's like, some people say their doctor tells them to stop breastfeeding, some don't. And like, it's like a lot of back and forth. I'm like, oh, this doesn't make any, like, this isn't helping me. So I just like start Googling it, and I start reading like research papers, like published by doctors who've done studies on this. And I'm like, this is maybe a little bit more than I understand, but I don't care. I'm going to like, it was like after the kids got to sleep, I'm like, it's like 1 a.m. and I finally like find like 3 research papers that all confirm that the antibodies do not pass through breast milk.
Wow.
They're carried on an immunoglobulin that doesn't pass through their gut barrier. So that antibody specifically isn't in breast milk.
Wow.
It's passed from mother to child in placenta, through the placenta. So my big powerful placenta gave her these antibodies.
So once you have them, you always have them?
No, well, me probably, but her, the half-life is like 6 weeks. So every 6 weeks it goes down by half. So by the time
he doesn't have them because he's older.
Yeah.
So he might not have been eligible for the medicine.
Younger anyways. Yeah. But it's still kind of beneficial to know earlier, because there's another drug that we can give her that's kind of like a bridge. It's going to like give her a little bit more time, but it's not as good as the gene therapy. So we're going to put her on that drug to hold her over until her antibodies drop low enough, which should be around 6 months. So it starts between 3 and 6 months. She starts to lose all of the antibodies that she got from my placenta.
Wow. So interesting.
And
you, research extraordinaire. Now I know I'm going to send on any of my research jobs where I just can't figure it out.
Oh my goodness. I felt like it was like 1 a.m. and I like started dancing in my kitchen. I was like, I got it. Oh my God, I got it. Like, eureka. Like, I did this. Like,
I don't know the quote, but there is a quote where it's like, who knows the most about blah, blah, blah. And it's like the mother of a child who has this, you know, it's like,
for sure. Like, I know more about like genetics and like now antibodies and all than I ever would have imagined in my entire life to know about this. Yes. Like how the immunoglobulins work between like breast milk and your gut, and like the bacteria in your gut, and like all of this stuff that you never like would think that you need to know. But I know now. So if there is an off chance that she could just have these antibodies naturally, but she's never been sick. So I doubt that. I'm 95% sure it's coming from my placenta. And I'm also 100% sure it's not coming from my breast milk. So I did not stop breastfeeding.
Beautiful. I actually, because I had messaged you, I think the day you found out you had to stop breastfeeding.
Mhm.
And I remember being so heartbroken for you. And then just watching you breastfeed, I was like, in my head, I'm like, did she forget? Like, what is going on? Like, I see her breastfeeding. She told me she couldn't. What is happening? But I figured you'd eventually get to it.
No, I solved this puzzle. And then I felt like so much better because I also had in the back of my mind where I was curious if River did have these antibodies, like maybe he got them between the time we tested and the time he got the drug. And then like, what if this drug doesn't work? And it's like, or what if his body rejects it? And then I had asked the doctor about that too, and he said no, we would have noticed an immune response immediately. He's like, we would have seen that this isn't working. He's like, he has all of the regular things that happen with the drug. So I don't think that you want to be on your bike. So he's like, I don't think that that's it at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Wow. And this is all like in a matter of how long has like from diagnosis to today?
I've been 5 weeks or 6 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, so River really like started, I mean, it's been less than 6 months for River's like from like when he started regressing to now. And I would say like in all aspects of this like whole journey, like a lot of it is like this, it like lit this tenacity in me that I didn't know I had. Like when you have to like advocate for your kid, like for myself, like even when I was telling my birth stories, like I kind of just like let things happen a lot of times, and I don't know how to like speak up for myself, and I don't know how to ask for things or how to like say like no, I'd rather not do that. Like even making a birth plan felt like the passive aggressive way to tell people what I wanted without having to like actually say what I wanted. um like but with my kids it's like, oh no, I'm not doing like even the breastfeeding thing, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna find the answer that works for us. With the MRI, no, we're not just doing a random MRI because you want to do an MRI. Like we're doing things that make sense. And I just like have learned and like felt this like new superpower of myself where I don't like just take their answer for it. Like, and that's I guess my best way to like work in harmony with the system. Like it's like I don't just like take their answer for it. I don't take their word for like, oh yeah, no, just stop breastfeeding. It's like no, wait, that's dumb. That doesn't make sense. Like I'm not doing that. Like I and if I would have found out that like something that validated what they said, then yeah, I probably would have. But I need to know for myself, and I need to like feel right with my decision. Yeah, bub.
Well, and now they have this information too that they can, hopefully educate their doctors on so that they can support other families if this ever comes up.
Yeah, it's just such a weird situation. Like even our pediatrician who I mentioned earlier, and she's amazing. She's been practicing medicine in Sonoma County for 30 years. I mean, and she's never had an SMA patient in 30 years. So it is really rare. And like, I think that's like,
do you know the percentage?
1 in 10,000 live births.
Yeah. I don't remember Ben because Ben has Bactrol, and same thing. Anytime we went to any doctor, they hadn't heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody. Our PT never heard of it. Like today, I just found out that there is one other kid who is 5, I think, in Sonoma County, and I'm like dying to meet this person.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I can maybe meet somebody like us. So I'm like on a mission to try to find this lady, but yeah, it's just so rare and like something that you would have never expected, and that I think that's like the thing where I mean. And I want to like tell people like get the newborn screening, just do it. It's really like, and like I want to convince people, but there's no way, nobody would have convinced me. So it's like but if you're like maybe on the fence about it, do it. Like it could help you. Like you don't know. Like I never, like I mentioned, like we don't have anybody in our families. Not even that. I'm not even a carrier. So honestly, it's not even genetically, it's a mutation of mine. Like it's not even, and like this, like the genetics team was like, there's like 80 diseases that are like that, where it's like they're just like these weird, like random, rare diseases that you would have no idea until it affects you.
Yeah.
So and like it's just something so simple that could have like stopped all of this headache, or at least help in like some way, you know, life works out the way it does. And like, maybe it is good that Cedar has these antibodies right now, so she doesn't make her own antibodies. And like, maybe it is good that I didn't know, because then I have Cedar and I maybe wouldn't have had another kid if I would have thought that there was a risk, you know? So I can't like really go back. You can't go back and fix it. But if I could convince someone to get newborn screening and maybe, you know, change their path, then do it.
like if you could whisper in your pregnant ear with River, would you have told yourself to do the newborn screening?
It's hard to say because of Cedar, but yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably, because even like that, like when I found out about Cedar's diagnosis, like the fact that I know that she's pre-symptomatic and I could treat her, it's like I could if I would have known that, like, yeah, I probably would have treated River and then just like had another kid anyways, because it's like, oh, okay, I could just treat them and, you know, it's fine. Like, I wouldn't have gone through all of that headache with River of like the worry of like, why is he losing skills? What is happening? Like, what is like feeling crazy? Like,
yeah. Like if this drug does the miracle that it's supposed to, like, not that you're like trying to decide if you're going to have future children, but it would make you feel safer having another child, knowing like that it isn't just this like doomsday diagnosis, that it is treatable.
Absolutely. And that's like something that like genetics team, that's really like their main whole thing is like to help us with family planning. And they're like, well, you could do IVF. And I'm like, I don't want to do IVF. Like, I didn't want to do newborn screening. You think I want to do IVF? Like, are you kidding me? But he's like, and then he's like, so what do you think? I'm like, yeah, I have a 4-month-old. I don't even know if I would have been able to make this decision if my kids were normal. Like, if I want to have another kid.
Yeah.
Bring it over here. I'll open it. So it's just like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to have more children, but I always like imagine myself with 3, and there's like a big part of me is like, oh, maybe the 3rd one will be that like perfect. Now that I know I can do it, like I'm like not even like wild enough to like do a free birth. Like, I'm like, I know I can do this. It was real. It was like pretty. It was okay. Like, I could probably do this. So I'm like, oh, maybe I'll do that. I did want a third kid, but I think a lot of it does depend on how this medicine works on River, and like how much of my like life is affected by that. As it is, I mean, River uses a wheelchair to get around now. So as it is, like, he needs PT and OT, and he needs like a lot of stuff right now and for the foreseeable future. So it's like, let's see how like life pans out. It's been 5 weeks, so I don't really know like what my life will be like a year from now. And if the medicine just works on Cedar and she's typical, it's sways me more towards like, oh, I could have a 3rd one, and, you know, no matter what happens, it's probably gonna end up with a typical life. But it just depends on like, you know, being pregnant even this time around and having to carry River everywhere, and, you know, was tough. It was tough, you know.
Well, thank you so much for reaching out to me and asking to share this story on the podcast. I know it's going to help people, because making decisions for your baby is one of the hardest things, like, to do or not to do, you know. It can feel like damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of feeling, you know. I think it's nice to hear lots of different stories so families can, you know, help navigate what choices they're going to make for their babies. If anybody is wanting to reach out to you or follow River and Cedar's journey, where can they find you?
So our Instagram is Hughes, like our last name, Hughes, can do it. So Hughes can do it. And yeah, I post everything, like our therapies, it's mostly from my perspective, so that it's not completely invading their privacy, but I'm stoked to talk to anybody about SMA or newborn screening or any of it. Honestly, any rare disease is kind of pretty similar, I've realized at this point. But yeah, I'm open to talk to anyone.
Well, thank you again, and it was nice to see little sneak peeks of both the kids. Yeah.
It was good to see you and good to chat.
You too.
Okay, everyone, that's it for today. Thank you for listening to the Born Wild podcast. If you enjoy our podcast, please rate, review, and subscribe every week to get the latest one.
And please follow us on Instagram at Born Wild Podcast, as well as Facebook. You can also write to us at info@bornwildmidwifery.com, as well as our website, bornwildmidwifery.com.
And remember,
Stay wild.